Let's actually go to another question from an audience member. This is Belicia Navarro, who's actually 13 years old and submitted this phenomenal question, actually, I think. In your early teens, what authors in literature, there's a 13-year-old using the word literature. Some parent is doing something right. What authors and literature helped develop and influence your writing? And similarly, when did you first start playing instruments and really get into music? 13. Everyone's like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that age was probably pretty pivotal for most of us with music. I mean, we all had experiences with music, from a young age. But I think it was really, for me, and I imagine for these guys too, it's around that 12, 13, 14-year-old where you really kind of discover like a relationship with music, and it really starts to speak to you in ways that you don't even really fully understand. And that was certainly true for me. That was around when I first picked up the guitar. I just played piano and trumpet previous to that. So from the music standpoint, that was kind of when that began for me. And then, I mean, I grew up with a very conservative sort of youth group background. It was, in many cases, it was a great container to grow up in. Was exposed to a lot of things that I think shaped me positively. Certainly things that I had to wrestle with later in life. So, I mean, I probably read a lot of, and at that time, I was probably reading a lot of things that were popular to teenagers. I'm trying to kind of remember. I remember reading some of Brennan Manning's books in my teenage, early college years. And yes, that one too. No, not that one. That stuff was probably, at least that's what, I don't know, what do you guys remember?
I mean, I was remembering the Madeline L'Engle book that you just read recently. Well, not that one, the Walking on Water.
Walking on Water.
Reflections on Art and Faith. And I really loved that book. Maybe I was 14 or something. And I don't know that I completely understood it, but I knew she was getting at some sort of mystery and wonder around art and faith that really belong together, that I think we find pretty easy to piece apart and put in separate boxes.
Yeah.
And Matt just reread it like in the last year, and he said she really is describing what we've sort of put our hands to for 20 years.
Yes.
So I do feel like, whether I'm conscious of it or not, that book got in my blood early on.
I think it's we all grew up in the church. There was a lot of teaching and a lot of knowing, and I think Madeline L'Engle, as well as C.S. Lewis, more recently Richard Rohr. There are authors that have given us permission to not know everything, and to know that it still matters, even though we don't know it or can't, as we just said, can't articulate it. That there's nothing wasted, and that a part of being a Christian and being an artist is being consumed with wonder.